Greetings, everyone, and welcome. November the 20th, 2025. This is a breaking news update right now, 9:15 in Ukraine, evening time. Zelensky in a closed door meeting with his government. In addition to that, we've got updated information on Zelensky's response to the United States peace proposal and plan, directly quoting from Zelensky's own mouth. And in addition to that, tonight, just moments ago, President Vladimir Putin dropping a bombshell about the war in Ukraine. Thank you for being here. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing. Let's jump right to it because this Putin video is just coming out and it's going to bring shockwaves back to the West and to the United States. So here it is. We have our own plan. I want war. Putin is pushing the war. It's easy to see why. Because today he came into his military meeting about the Western Front in his uniform, and I have exactly what he has stated. On the same day that Zelensky is supposed to hear, receive, and talk about a potential peace plan that is being brokered in some smoky back room between Dmitriev and Witkoff. Guys, you have to see through it. I have it all for you factually to the best of my ability as I can give it to you. Let's start first because it's the hottest news right now, and that is Putin. Putin today meeting stating Ukrainian military personnel should have the opportunity to lay down their arms and surrender. Quote, there are 15 battalions of the armed forces of Ukraine blocked, encircled in the Kupiansk area. Fighting is taking place inside Konstantinivka. The political leadership of Ukraine has simply been a criminal group usurping power since March of last year. Representatives of the Kyiv regime sit on golden toilets and do not think about the fate of their nation, Ukraine, and the soldiers. The Kyiv leadership holds power only for personal enrichment, and the objectives of the special military operation must be unconditionally achieved. Now, that to me doesn't sound like you're going to try to lease back land from Ukraine, but here you go. This is Putin just minutes ago. We have our own tasks. We have our own goals. And the main one is achieving the objectives of the special military operation that I laid out. And we have to solve the task of our fatherland and the Russian people. They have set this before us. The people of Russia, they are counting on us. They are counting on you. And they expect the results of our country that it needs. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you understand this statement and all those that I summarized for you, which are quotes, are coming on the same day that we're supposed to have some type of peace breakthrough. Really? Let me explain one more thing to you. And it's about how out of touch with reality the United States is. And I'm an American and I love my country. But when it comes to understanding the war in Ukraine, the Soviet mindset, the Kremlin narrative, the power of the propaganda, the United States is 100% clueless. And the only person that understood it is now moving out. That is General Kellogg. I will say Rubio has a touch of understanding, but he's so shell-shocked by DC, and we just have no one holding the line for reality. And I'm going to show you a clip right now that shows and demonstrates how out of touch and misunderstood the United States administration is in regard to this war. Here it is.
It's like, why don't you stop killing each other and start trading with one another? Why, rather than Russia and Ukraine killing one another, why don't they actually engage in some commerce with one another, travel between the two countries, engage in some sort of cultural exchange? That is his fundamental perspective that he takes into these things. And fundamentally, if we get more peace in the world, it's good for American workers, it's good for the American people, and the president's going to keep on pursuing peace. He's done very well so far, but he's going to keep on working at it.
All right, so there you have it. First of all, there's no understanding that Russia invaded Ukraine. It was just yesterday that a missile dropped on an apartment building in Ternopil. There are still 20 missing. The death toll will go into either the 40s or the 50s. What on earth are these people looking at out of DC? Well, let's just stop the killing and let's go on vacations together, have cultural exchanges, and open businesses together. What on earth did we just witness? That's a fact. That's not AI. That is a 100% understanding of the Trump administration in regard to the war between Russia and Ukraine. Russia is the aggressor and Russia must not be rewarded. Now, as factually as I confirm, we have more clarity now, and I trust this source, not just media, but inside the Ukrainian military, and it's right here. Factually, as I confirm, this is what Vance is saying. Just go make peace and go do business and go to museums together. The American-Russian peace plan requires Ukraine to reduce the current size of its armed forces to 40%. But Russia does not reduce at all. Ukraine is forbidden to possess long-range weapons. Western troops cannot be deployed in Ukraine. Western diplomats' planes will be prohibited from landing in Ukraine. Ukraine must recognize the Russian language as the second official language. The Russian Orthodox Church, repeatedly exposed for espionage and propaganda, must be restored fully in Ukraine. The surrender of Donbass may be presented as a territorial lease deal under which Russia will pay some fee to control the land, and Ukraine will not need to hold constitutional referendums to give up their territory. It's a ploy. It's a backroom smoking cigar business deal with some poker chips on the table. Ukraine will be allowed to negotiate security guarantees with the U.S. and Europe, and Moscow promises not to attack Ukraine and will even enshrine this in their legislation. Okay, all that came out yesterday, but this is the actual. I feel very comfortable confirming these are the talking points. Zelenskyy comes back, and everybody's been talking about, well, Zelenskyy said, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do this. I waited until this afternoon until I got a quote from Zelenskyy. I am reading you his quote. Today, during a meeting with the U.S. Army Secretary Daniel Driscoll, we discussed options for achieving true peace, the phased approach to work, dialogue formats, and new impulses for diplomacy. Our teams, Ukraine and the U.S., will work on a plan points to end the war. We are ready for constructive, honest, and prompt work. Now, I remind you, this statement came out before Putin's statement came out about we're going to finish everything. Lay down your arms. You're surrounded. Zelenskyy then continued to quote, I separately informed the Americans about the terrible strike by Russia on Ternopil. The KH-101 missile, which the Russian army used yesterday to hit an ordinary apartment building, was manufactured in 2025. It contains 175 foreign components that still reach Russia, bypassing sanctions. We count on the U.S. help to restrict all such schemes. I handed over to Secretary Driscoll specific materials with information about the companies that create them, manufacturers of critical components, countries of origin, and the components themselves. And Zelenskyy finally says peace is needed, and we appreciate the efforts of President Trump and his team to restore security in Europe. Ukraine defends life and independence. Thanks to the courage of our people, our unity within our state, and the help of our partners, we are working to ensure all three elements are strong enough. Glory to Ukraine. Masterful answer. He didn't go in and start talking about this capitulation plan that is being offered point by point. No, he says, thank you. We need to talk about it. He's supposed to be having a telephone call with Trump. The masterful answer, especially with all this additional pressure with the corruption right now. And that is what the meeting is about in Kyiv right now, with Putin throwing out his warmongering video in his uniform. The last couple of things, and I said a little bit of hope here. Marco Rubio, who obviously is stated to have been on the development team with Witkoff and Jared Kushner and Kirill Dmitriev, says, ending a complex and deadly war, such as the one in Ukraine, requires an extensive exchange of serious and realistic ideas. And achieving a durable peace will require both sides to agree to difficult but necessary concessions. Thank you, Marco Rubio. That means that everything that you just presented to Russia, or as part of this peace plan for Russia, you presented to Ukraine, there's no giving up of anything from Russia. At least I hope you understand what you wrote there. That is why we are and will continue to develop a list of potential ideas for ending this war based on input from both sides of this conflict. Well, the peace plan that was presented, the Trump plan, definitely did not listen to Ukraine up to this point. Hopefully, from November 20th going forward, you now will allow Ukrainian input. Lindsey Graham coming out, and I have to say, I've been hard on this dude, but here I have to agree with what he says. He says, as to the existence of a 28-point plan to end the Russian-Ukraine war, I have no knowledge of the plan and have only read media reports about the proposal. He then says, it is my firm belief that this war needs to come to an end through negotiations with an honorable and just outcome that would prevent a third invasion and deter others from acting aggressively throughout the globe. Such an outcome can only be achieved with negotiations involving both parties, particularly Ukraine, the victim of Russia's aggression, along with our European allies. Kudos to you, Mr. Graham, for calling Europe needs to be involved. Ukraine needs to be involved. You cannot have a smoke-filled backroom poker chip deal constructed in Miami on the beach between Kirill Dmitriev and Witkoff. Are you kidding me? At least we have some sense of reality here. Now, I can tell you that right now, Zelensky's still in a closed-door meeting. They did not even allow cell phones into that meeting, guys. It is a closed meeting. We're already getting understanding that there may be changes in the government. Not seeing anything specifically, but we will keep you updated. And I hope that as of right now, about 9:25, 9:30 p.m. Kyiv time, wherever you're at in the world, you are up to date to the latest. As of this moment, we will keep you posted. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Be blessed.